let's get into this final game now. And so we see Camille first pick. It's better than Renekton first pick. It's much better than Renekton first pick. So I actually think this is still completely fine. They didn't choose to go with the Ryze though, so we probably get Ryze and maybe even a Aphelios for the side of T1 now, since Aphelios is incredibly strong, and I know Teddy does play it. So we do see the Ryze come through there. Now again, I want to see the Aphelios as R2 here, just to deny it from GenG, because they've been playing it every single game. We do see Kennen though. I think Kennen is great, and he's a counter to Camille, and he's going to have massive value later on. They did go Diana. Are they going to Yasuo? They are. So Diana Yasuo combo again coming out. Now there was another team that did this lately. It was actually Dam1 that went with Diana and Yasuo, and Canyon actually popped off with this pick. So very, very good to see. I would still love to see the Aphelios come through here though, or they can maybe, I mean, they don't have to ban Thresh, but they take the Olaf. Now I mean, in terms of objective control, I think Olaf is one of the strongest junglers in the game. His early game did kind of get very heavily impacted by the fact that most junglers got reduction to pre-315 clears, which he used to be very unique in that he was the only one that could really do that properly. But smite upgrades, stuff like that, changed. So Aphelios ban, they don't want them to get it. They do need to ban something like an Ezreal here for the side of T1, because otherwise it's going to have massive poke potential, and it's still going to be safe with the Diana Yasuo, and you can take something like Alistair, who can roam, and it can be very, very good. So we do need to see the Ezreal ban here. They might also ban Ashe though, but I really think we need to see an Ezreal ban. Unless T1 are planning to take Ezreal on R4, which could also be an option considering both bot lanes are still up for debate. Now we also need to see a Braum ban come through from the side of... okay, so there's the Ashe ban that we already discussed, but I think they needed to ban Ezreal here, unless they take Ezreal R4 here. But the problem is that if they give Alistair over to GenG now, that pick is going to be way too impactful, so they need to probably pick up something like an Ezreal here, and they can still rely on this Ryze for damage. And you know, they do still have Olaf as a little bit of AT damage as well. And why did they ban TF? Because TF is ridiculously powerful. He gets a lot of push power in so many lanes, and then at level 6 he just heavily impacts the side lanes. So very, very good. Even though they are planning on taking Yasuo, we do see the Ezreal come in here though, so this is good drafting from the side of T1 that they actually get this Ezreal. Xayah, again, it's the only real safe ADC that they can pick up here now, and Varus is banned, Aphelios is banned, Ezreal's banned. If they pick Kai'Sa here, I mean, it's thematically correct, but it'll... I mean, they could have taken the Kai'Sa here. It's a hard... they're playing versus Faker and not Doper, yeah, I mean, but Faker's still fucking nuts, you know. So here they take the Xayah Rakan. I mean, it's okay. I mean, the thing is, they've taken, like, Rakan is a very solid pick. Now this is a problem, and I was speaking about this not long ago, and the Rakan is the busted pick in this duo. It's just Xayah gets more out of Rakan's kit, so you know, it gets paired. But again, like, we're going to see this Alistair come through for T1, and like I previously mentioned, I think the GenG should have gone with this Alistair, especially if he picks up a stopwatch. He can WQ a teamfight for a massive kind of teamfight advantage, and then if Yasuo doesn't want to ult on that one, he can potentially stopwatch even in the middle of a fight, and then he can just WQ again. Or if they group around him, which won't happen in kind of pro play, he can just instantly queue them up and then W them back. So to be honest, I really like GenG's comp. But the problem is Ezreal's going to be pretty safe, which is going to allow Alistair to roam about however much he wants, which is going to potentially shut down this Diana Yasuo kind of combination. And you know, Alistair can also just headbutt Yasuo when he ults as well, and he can be put in a very, very dangerous situation. We've also got Ken and Ryze, which is basically two tier 1 solo laners. Both do a ridiculous amount of AP damage, and if this Olaf late invades, he can potentially shut Diana out of the game indefinitely. Diana does have a faster clear than Olaf, I'm fairly certain, but it's very, very close. Now, we can see GenG coming up into mid lane first to try and get maybe an invade play. Faker, we can see in the brush, has no idea of what's happening. This is why I really don't like this location, because what you want is Faker's flash has just been used. So you want Faker as a mid laner to come down and hold this mid lane defensive point so that they can't get into this brush and then come around and get his flash. Because if they get to this point, then the flash is already gone. So it's really greedy from Faker. Oh man, that burger looks so good though. Oh, I'm so hungry. Damn, that burger really gets you, man. I'm not gonna buy takeout though. I'm not gonna get it. Not gonna get takeout, I swear. Sorry for ignoring your joke, Mr. G. I like being very involved in the draft. It's my favorite part of comp. So here we look at runes. Again, it's all pretty standard. Nothing too crazy. Again, walking is the devil. And Scorch. Scorch is Hellspawn. I just covered myself in water, my bad. So in terms of bot lane, it does like to focus a lot on this bot lane in the early game, which, you know, is completely fine. But obviously, Alistar is completely useless to level one. There's nothing you can really do as the Alistar this early into the game, due to the fact that, you know, you need your level 2 to actually do anything within the laning phase, and then your level 3 helps as well to chain your CC. So it's just really, really good, you know, that they're backing off now. Ezreal only has 2 CS right now. Doesn't really matter that much. He's not going to get like a massive CS advantage over Isaiah inside the laning phase. We do see the Diana try and get a gank on mid lane, but Faker is having none of it. Like, there's no way you can try and get those cheese ganks against a player like Faker. I mean, it does work in some games, especially game 1 when he's on a champion that he's not comfortable with. But I think the way you take down SKT is you get rid of comfort from Faker, considering they're like prioritizing so one thing that teams should be looking to do against T1 is they should look to ban the Rise away so that it can't get first picked for blue side for Faker, and then they just pinch his champ pool. So we're already seeing some very kind of heavy consistencies with how teams like to draft that we can use to actually abuse them in terms of their drafting. So now we can see that Olaf has gone in, got a point down. I mean, he is hovering topside right now. That's completely fine. Dragon hasn't actually spawned yet. So what he will be looking to do is walk into bot side now. We got the top Scuttle Crab, and he managed to get some nice vision inside the Diana's jungle. So now what we'll see is him walk down. They do have vision on the Dragon, which is unfortunate with the way that Olaf decided to path. But, you know, it is Ezreal Alistar bot lane. There's no way he has prio in that lane for Scuttle. So he's kind of forced to path into top side and get this top Scuttle Crab. All of this now means the Dragon is not available. Now, like we previously said, though, that in terms of going for objectives, Dragon and early now is very, very risky, since, you know, you only have 450 smite. So going for that Dragon early is a very, very risky thing to do. So what you want to do instead is focus on the Herald early. So this path will actually benefit Olaf in the long run. So we can see that he manages to steal away these top camps from Diana. He can actually just kill Diana, to be honest. Okay, so she actually saw him on there. So I hate when people are playing champions like Olaf and they leave a camp up, because you're not just counter jungling the enemy jungler, you're counter jungling yourself, because Olaf wants to be in this top side of the map later into the game, even though he's resetting his pathing here to go towards bot side. Oh no, never mind. He's still continuing with the same pathing route. It's just going to mean that he's going to have quite a lot of time on the map while he waits for chickens and Krugs to respawn after he's taken Gromp and wolves. So one thing that Olaf does want to look to do now is reset, take Gromp, wolves, and then come up into this Herald at the 8 minutes mark. So that's probably what he's going to look for. He can actually get his blue buff as well from there. Diana is actually pinging where he is though, although Olaf is also pinging where she is, but that's because she was spotted on a ward where he wasn't. So now we can see again Olaf resetting this path. He can take his blue buff too. So I guess he's just going to leave his blue buff. Like, although that would be time wasted while he's waiting for it, I think it's so impactful. And there's no way he's going to get that Scuttle Crab anyway. Maybe he's just looking to invade the Diana for her blue buff, which is something that is pretty good on Olaf. But it does get spotted. Oh, very, very close to stealing it away. BDD actually gets the goal and the crab there. So, I mean, they had no smite, so if he would have just committed to it, he could have potentially smited it away, but he's just going to come for this blue buff from Diana. Now, if you can deny Diana a blue buff, that's incredibly good, and we see the carrier is actually rotating for this as well. So, what we're going to see is Olaf's going to look to just gift this to the... Oh, that was terrible. That was terrible. Why did he do that? If he would have gifted that to the Ryze right now, it would have been so much better, because he's going to take these top camps and now they can... Like, obviously Diana's going to take that blue buff, but I'd much prefer to see my blue buff on a Ryze to have him permanently clear waves to give me priority than I would to see it on a Olaf. I mean, Olaf does use it, don't get me wrong, but I just really didn't like that he actually took that and he smited it away. Does get him his smite upgrade though, and he is just going to take this camp away from the Diana. So this is the thing with Olaf, if he meets Diana in the jungle, he always beats her in a 1v1 due to the way how the champion works. Now Olaf used to be even stronger, where I think he used to get 2.8 thousand gold out of his passive, but that's been nerfed recently to I think 1.8k at 30% HP, which is still a considerable amount of free gold that he gets out of his passive just because of the amount of attack speed he gets. Now he does miss the Q there, so he doesn't even proc the Herald. And now they're going to go on it. Now, obviously, he has no vision of this, so they're just going to sneak it away from him. And Xayah and Rakan did rotate into mid. Now, the good thing about this is Ezreal and Alistair, even though they don't have a massive amount of turret, like, pushing potential, that Herald only actually gives you one plating when you... two plating, sorry, guaranteed when you drop it. So what this means now is if this Ezreal actually gets 1 to 2 plating spot, he's just going to get the one. He's not going to get too greedy. But the fact he got this one now means that they need to return multiple plates to make this Herald worth, especially considering they committed to that that change of lane assignment. Now, Xayah did still farm plenty in mid lane, but still, that lane assignment did lose her a bit of her lead. Here we can see Canna into Rascal. The gold difference in this top lane is unbelievable right now. Rascal with nearly double the CS, Canna with almost double the CS of Rascal on his Camille right now, which, you know, is very, very unfortunate. She did go with Fleet Footwork this game, which is because obviously Kennen is very, very hard to actually trade with, and, you know, a little bit of HP back, and, you know, she's a melee champ, so she gets the full benefit of Fleet Footwork. But overall, this is looking very, very convincing for the side of T1. So we can see, again, Olaf just walking into the jungle whenever he wants. I do want to see Olaf start prioritizing some of these dragons now, because it's actually a cloud dragon right now, which is the worst soul you can get. So if he prioritizes this now, he's going to get either an infernal or an ocean soul, which is going to be great in both situations. Infernal is going to increase everybody's damage massively, and obviously Ocean Soul is going to give everybody a lot of HP regen and also mana back. So again, I don't think Diana's got a single gromp this game, and Olaf is just having free reign to do whatever he wants, because we've got this matchup in top lane that can't really do much. So the Camille can never walk inside of GenG's jungle in order to defend anything. So Olaf just gets a completely free game right now. We see the Faker in mid lane. Okay, so BDD goes a little bit aggressive, but it doesn't really matter. Faker will instantly clear this wave for priority to go into this dragon. Life is about to get caught up by Keria, but he doesn't. So now Keria is just going to walk and just get vision inside the jungle, or just kind of be a human ward. Rascal is going to die here to the Kennen, but there is a TP coming in from BDD. Now this does mean that SKT get the dragon completely for free, which is kind of beneficial for T1 since it is an Ocean Soul now, and they will get 3 Oceans from it. And that also denies GenG getting the Ocean early. Kennen obviously does die there, but 15 CS is worth about 1 kill anyway. So he's still up on gold even though he's died. And the items that he has, even though is just incredibly powerful. He's on a huge power spike right now, so it doesn't really matter too much. He's going to instantly kill Rascal as soon as he walks back into this laning phase, even though he's a level down. It's not going to be enough to save it. He's also going to get a slow push based on how this wave is, due to the fact that this wave is kind of in this position here. So when it's in this position and it's even, since it's just bounced off tower, it's going to slow push in. So what I'd like to see him do is just last hit these minions only, gather up a big slow push, and then he can actually solo dive this Camille. So we can see here the replay of it coming through. We see that he runs down the Camille, he gets a massive trade, and this Camille is 100% going to die. Now, they don't expect BDD to use his TP here, due to the fact that the objective is available right now, but he does. Now, his wave gets kind of wasted, but overall, right, sorry about that. So again, very, very convincing game here from T1. I mean, they have a slight gold advantage, even though GenG did get first blood from that Yasuo TP. But overall, I think that T1 are actually in a very good position. The Kennen and the Olaf are completely gapping their counterparts, so it's very, very good to see. So I do think that this game is only going to potentially be another 5 to 10 minutes, just because the way the amount of tempo that T1 have here, considering they have these kind of big scaling picks, and the fact that the Diana Yasuo hasn't been able to translate this combo into anything so far, like we saw from DK, is really, really important. So, as we can see here, they're going to look for this Herald just so that they can try and pop this tier 1 tower in any lane, really, especially considering if GenG get this Herald right now, they're going to be able to get that bot tower guaranteed due to the low HP that it has. So GenG really want to get this Herald, but I think SKT want to contest this. Faker does have TP to get in whenever he wants, and they've just reset the Herald too, so they're in an extremely favorable position right now, and we're going to see Faker get to this fight. He didn't even need to use his TP because his team managed to delay this fight, so we're going to see them. Okay, so Life actually alters Rakan and jumps in for a beautiful W. There's a TP coming in. Nobody actually died. Ezreal manages to get a kill. Kana comes in with a really, really nice ultimate on Kennen, and that looked like a very, very good engage from Rakan, but his team just couldn't follow it up, so it was very, very greedy of him. That was extremely bad. Like, the engage was great and he did everything right, but he really just didn't have that follow-up. So very, very unfortunate to see. I wonder if we'll get a replay. So here we can see that Ruler's doing some damage. Jen jumps in, knocks up into the Diana ult, into the Yasuo ult as well, but it just wasn't enough damage. Even the shield bow is not enough to keep the Yasuo alive. They're just too tanky at this stage of the game. If that was slightly later or GenG had a lead, that would have been almost a perfect engage. Now, this is the scary thing for GenG right now, that they've just taken a perfect engage and lost considerably hard with it. So now, even if they get a perfect engage on the next fight, they're not going to do anything. So if Camille needs to be in a side lane pushing out, but she's trying to dive, which it works, but she had to use her flash, and now she's going to die because there's a TP coming in from Faker. And there's another TP coming in from the Ezreal actually. So the Kennen does get it 1-for-1, but you know, Camille invested so much into that, and it's very hard for Camille to actually stay in this side lane now against Kennen because of the fact that he can space her so well. Now, once she does get to her second item, which will be a Titanic probably, maybe Ravenous, she will be able to 1v1 him in the side lane. But for now, this is looking very favorable from the side of T1. So they've come and they're just going to take this objective now. Like we previously said, the objective control from Olaf is uncontested by most champions due to the fact that he can stack the true damage on his E with his smite. Now this is very good for Olaf since he has the exact same 900 smite as other members of let's say for example the enemy team, but he can connect that with his E and it makes it much easier. Now Faker has actually gone with the steel caps, which is very valuable in this game. They have a Xayah, a Yasuo and a Camille, and this is one of the main reasons that I think he actually survived in this earlier fight. We've just seen him pick up a Zhonya's, but here we can see this run down. Like Rascal does try and kill the Kennen. Kennen does just stop watch it instantly, which is one of the kind of kryptonites to the Camille, is if you do stop watch her ultimate, that's 2.5 seconds of that ultimate that you can't do damage to them anymore. Now he does actually flash to try and get some space. Again, I don't think he should have flashed. I think Camille would have died no matter what there, but again, it's slight communicational issues. So yeah, they had 2 TPs to catch that greed there. It was just, you know, not too great. So we can see that the Xayah's just picked up an Essence Reaver, which is a huge power spike on Xayah since she's so mana heavy. So she actually has a massive amount of wave clear here, and this is kind of one of the big power spikes that you actually get on Xayah, because Essence Reaver just gives you so much mana back. It's a super valuable item. Sometimes I actually think it's very viable to actually just go Essence Reaver first on Xayah if you're into laners that can also push you back. So if you're into something like an Ashe or an Aphelios and you're playing Xayah, then you know they will still win, especially later on into the game. But you could actually just go that Essence Reaver first. Now Rascal does get caught, and there's a TP from T1 coming in to potentially catch him. Keria does get caught out in the top side though, but Rascal will die to Wanna. So now they actually have the ability that they can push this side wave out with a Kennen, and then he could potentially just TP to the Baron. This might end up resulting in a Baron play from T1 due to the fact that Camille is just kind of griefed. The thing is as well, the wave bot lane is pretty good for Kennen, so he can potentially push this tower. He's not going to be able to take it and get that 600 gold from it, but he is going to be able to take the fact that Yasuo is here, back off, and now they can potentially look to get vision control of Baron and potentially force it, but they don't want to. So they just, like T1 just aren't prioritizing Baron vision control. So we actually see TP coming in. This was just a replay, we're not going to watch through that, but now we can see that like stuff is happening on the map now, and now Ezreal is at his Mana Moon spike or his Muramana spike as well. So what he can actually do now is he can just poke out for so much damage. So the amount of poke he's going to be doing on top of then the Rise eventual all-in. Now the good thing about Rise in this matchup is when he's against things like Aphelios and Syndra, he can struggle very hard because it's very difficult for him to walk up into the fight since he's kind of low range. But when he's into a Xayah and a Yasuo, he's going to have a much easier time getting off damage, and the fact that he hasn't been punished and hasn't died whatsoever is a really important factor for this game. So again, Faker on conventional mids. So we do get that dragon, again, a third one for T1, which again, if they manage to get this soul, Ocean Soul is so difficult to win into that even if they get that perfect combo, it really won't matter. So it's extremely risky here in my opinion. Now, the gold difference isn't huge, don't get me wrong, but the overall compositions make the gold difference inflate even more, since you end up in this position where you have late game scaling picks like the Rise, and even the Ezreal does a massive amount of damage late game. If he manages to just get his Qs off over and over, and maybe a W. If he manages to get a W ult in a very, very tight area of the jungle, especially in these areas here that lead up to Baron, so in this area specifically, if he can get a good ult through here like this, it's very, very good for him. And in these gaps as well, you're looking for these very short gaps that is very hard to really do much around. Obviously it's vice versa, so if you get it down here it's very good as well. And this is why I'd like to see the Ornn more as well, because Ornn can set up champions like Ezreal for this massive ultimate damage, so they become a huge carry. Rakan nearly gets picked in the mid lane, but not much. So we see a TP coming in from BDD here. This is really bad, because what are they gonna get off this TP? Just a tier 1 mid. It's really painful to see those kind of TPs, because now like Baron is up, and now he doesn't have TP for the next dragon either. So the Soul is a threat, and now BDD doesn't have TP, so I don't know, man. It's looking very, very rough. So T1 get resets off. And they are kind of... okay, so Kerry are completely fine. Like, he has that ultimate that can just allow him to get out, which is obviously great. He doesn't have ultimate now, which is a big cleanse as well. It's on a quite low cooldown, but we do get that wind wall come in from Yasuo. But now that's down, Faker is able to do much more damage. So what they need is Canna to come up now. He does have his ultimate available with Flash. They are going to instantly clear the wave though, so there's not really much that T1 can do there. They managed to get the tier 1 mid though, which is pretty good, because now they can actually start sieging on Baron since his tier 1 mid is gone. So we see a big team fight brewing here. We accidentally saw a bit of it. Clid catches Carrier, but he has ultimate available, so this is a complete nightmare from the Diana Yasuo. Now they have no combo there, and Teddy actually coming in from behind. He's just going to poke them from behind. Canna coming in as well with his ultimate. Flash ult, he actually manages to split them all massively. He gets 4 flashes from that ult engage, and now the rest of the team could just kind of go crazy. Faker is still alive, full HP. Nice realm warp behind them, and now he actually catches Clid, nearly kills him. He gets a shield from Rakan though, but Faker is just going to run him down. They can instantly go for the Baron now, and then they can translate that Baron into an Ocean Soul. So this game is looking very doomed for GenG. I think it's very, very rough for them to come in, and T1 actually get a really good 3-game streak here. Faker really did int that first game, but since then they did start prioritizing the Rise in draft, and I think this is something that they need to take into consideration when they do have tier 1 mid. So if you're someone like Dam1 and you're, say, the analyst for Dam1, this is something you really need to kind of pay attention to and realize that, you know, like that, you know, if we try and get Faker on a less conventional mid, so for example, if we're on red side, we want to ban away the Rise so that they don't first pick it, and then maybe they pick up something like a Syndra, but that doesn't really matter. So this game very, very close to coming to an end now, and T1 just look like they're gonna completely stomp it. So this Kennen ult that came in with this flank, absolutely amazing. Like I said, he manages to burn pretty much 4 flashes instantly with just that ult, which means not only they won this fight, but when it comes to the next fight, there's going to be 4 members of GenG without their flash, so they're going to be in a very, very dangerous situation from now on, and it's really not looking good for GenG here. Like, the only thing that they can potentially do is force a Baron, but they don't have enough gold in order to make their comp work. This Yasuo and Diana is very snowball heavy, and even though Yasuo does scale, he needs to get to this IE as soon as possible, and even when he gets to it, it might be too late, because on top of this, Ezreal now has his Frozen Heart. Since he's so far ahead, he's got 50 CS up on the Yasuo, which has led to him getting that Frozen Heart way earlier, which does really damage Yasuo, because if you take attack speed away from Yasuo, then his Q ends up on a higher cooldown as well, which means he's relying much more on knockups, which he does get from the Diana, but overall not too great. Now Yasuo's wind wall, roughly a 20-second cooldown, has just been used there, so I would like to see T1 just rush Baron there, considering Faker is having this big fight. So there's a 1v1 with Rascal. Can Faker beat Camille in a side lane? I mean, Camille is a very strong side laner, but he does have to use his stopwatch there, and maybe he just dies. So it's very unfortunate that the Yasuo does actually get his TP in there. It's nice to see a useful TP from BDD finally, and they can potentially look to kind of go on this Baron here. Now the big problem that they have is that the Olaf, even though unfortunately he has Ghost, so he's not going to be able to steal this as easy, but if he walks up into this pit, he can potentially, okay, so he's actually getting on top of Clid. Again, he Gold Drinkers to save him some HP, but this is really bad. He just needed to wait for the objective to drop low and then ult in and smite ear, and he could have stolen this away. Ezreal is going to be doing so much damage on the side though. Yasuo's wind wall's down again, roughly 20 seconds I think. So now the Yasuo wind wall is down. Ezreal can just do as much damage as he wants. Maybe we see a steal. No, unfortunately not. But the Kennen inside the pit, none of them have flashes available, but the Kennen doesn't manage to get his ult off for long enough to do considerable damage. Ezreal is running them down though. Teddy having a game of his life here. Manages to nearly kill BDD. Life jumps directly onto Faker's Rise, but Teddy is just doing so much damage. Do we see the Teddy carry? He's just popping off. Let's go. He's going to kill Rascal as well, which is going to get rid of his ultimate. He is using his Qs on those Gromps right now, just because that reduces the cooldown of his Q as well. And he wants blood. Unfortunately, he doesn't manage to kill, but he's probably going to get the inhibitor here, just because Camille can't actually 1v1 him anyway, because he can E away from her stun. Unfortunately, he didn't get the tower. That's so sad. He expected the minion damage to do more. So we get to see this fight again. This Faker fight, it's not really too interesting. I think this was very grief from Faker to try and 1v1 a Camille in the side lane. I think he still loses this anyway. Camille is a massive side lane threat. Unfortunately, Camille does put her control ward down, which does end up getting Faker killed, but then he does have his TP to get into this fight at a later point. Wanna completely griefs here by running down the Clid when he does have a stopwatch available. He just instantly dies. The Gold Drinker is not enough on just 2 people. Ezreal in the back doing so much damage though. The Alistar does manage to save time. Life just doesn't prioritize the Ezreal whatsoever, and now he just gets to do so much damage on the backline here. We can see that Kana is walking up and trying to kind of get inside the pit as much as he can. He does use his Rocket Belt a little bit too early, but he manages to get in. Ults does manage to CC a lot of people up. Rascal has to use his stopwatch, and then Ezreal just kind of does so much damage. This is where Teddy really does show why he's a world-class ADC though, because he manages to use his E perfectly to keep repositioning so that he's never really in much danger, and now he just continues chasing him down. Now we actually go to Pro View, and we can see, look at the kind of macro using his Q on BDD there to do the extra damage since he knows that Zyra is going to die. Q over and over. We could see it on there to reset that E cooldown so that he could E after the Camille. Didn't manage to get it, but overall still massive amounts of damage. He's going to be putting in absolute work here, especially now he's got his Cyrildas too. He's going to be doing so much damage, and the armor that they have is not going to be enough to protect them, especially considering Ryze is going to be doing a lot of damage there too. Now the other kind of useful thing with the comp that T1 has decided to go with is if they build armor to beat Ezreal, then the Kennen will do more damage because they won't have MR, and if they prioritize MR to get rid of the magic penetration that Kennen provides, then Ezreal is just going to do more damage since he's an AD threat. So overall, it's very hard for them to itemize against them in this game, and since Ezreal can itemize into that Frozen Heart, it's really, really important that he managed to pick this up. Now we actually see a fight converging around this area because it is an Elder, so GenG have to fight this. The wind wall comes out way too early from Yasuo, so they have this big window of opportunity. Clid gets almost popped and half HP by WQ from the Ezreal, and now we can see that they can go on this objective quite easily, since Clid doesn't have the ability to jump in as easily due to the fact that he got poked out. Now Life is in the pit, but he can instantly jump back over. Ezreal is looking to zone them away, but again, it's very risky trying to take an objective from an Olaf. They are going to back away now. Elder is a bit unique. It doesn't reduce your resistances like Baron does, so you can dance around Elder way more than you can dance around Baron. especially because you also have Baron's Gaze as well, which you need to keep on one kind of tanky figure at all points. And now we can see that T1 are actually looking to start a fight here. They don't want a 50-50 unless things zone them away. Alistair with a perfect WQ for 3-man win wall, blocks the Ezreal ult, but Clid jumps in the back to try and get him Faker, but Teddy is just allowed so much free space. He can just do whatever he wants. Clid does manage to get out with his flash, but BDD uses his ultimate, but it doesn't really matter. Now Rascal's going to get run down by Teddy. The Q from the Diana misses, but Teddy is not taking no for an answer. He is going to win this game no matter what. He might flash Q, yeah, okay, instantly in his head that he needs to do that. So really, really good to see. Teddy is just completely stomping this game. Like, he is by far MVP. So he's actually going to keep going on Rascal as well. Rascal manages to get out because of his E, but Ezreal's just going to chase her down. He's going to potentially ult now. E is down, but maybe not as well. I think he might want to save it. So he is just going to go back on the Elder. He can actually solo it at this point. He has 4 items right now, so he has plenty of damage and plenty of resistances to just take this out. So he is just looking to focus it. There is TPs coming down. Faker is going to TP behind though, and I feel like Canna is also going to TP. Oh, that was the Canna TP. Faker does have TP available though for when he's respawned, and now they can potentially look to potentially fight this. They're just going to wait for the Olaf to come, and they're going to steal it away. So Teddy having the absolute game of his life. This guy is performing so well. And the sad thing is as well, T1 also have Gamer Sensei, who is one of the best ADCs in the world also. So the amount of training that Teddy and Gamer Sensei get from this kind of main team / academy dynamic is really good. So here we see Teddy's ultimate gets blocked, but Kled doesn't get a good ult on anyone. The Alistair is just so disruptive, and the Olaf, they just zone Ruler off entirely from this fight. So now Teddy gets to go absolutely mental and just completely ruin the entire team fight. This guy is insane. The Camille does get a triple kill, but it really doesn't matter. Now they're just going to rush Baron since they have Elder, and they also have Soul, and now it's looking very unfortunate for GenG. They will not win this game anymore because T1 can just run them down with Elder, Baron, and Ocean Soul. It's looking very, very good for T1, and this is kind of the domination that they need to provide in order to beat those bigger teams like Damwon, and especially the Chinese teams like FPX and FPX, RNG. That's what they really, really need. Also EDG, great team as well. WE, I'm not sure if they're at Worlds. I don't think they are. I think they went out in finals, but great game from T1. Now they're looking to just push this down now. They've got Baron buff, they've got Elder. Trying to base race against this is just impossible. They get this ward down just in case they need to TP at a later date, but that does get instantly cleared out by the side of GenG. But what an amazing game. Ruler getting poked out to Ezreal Q's, get him half HP. He's so strong, especially with this Elder. They go for an engage to try and do something, but Alistair is just so disruptive. The cannon ult just stops him from doing anything, and then this is gonna be the game. Yasuo ults in, instantly dies, and then Ezreal just goes nuts in the backline. He is completely untouched in these fights. I mean, the only reason he took damage there is because he went to the tower. Now, this was an amazing series, honestly. Such a good series. This was crazy fun to watch. But so yeah, that was round 2. So we will potentially get into round 3 eventually. But that is it for tonight. This was a great series. If you're watching on YouTube and you just stumble across this video, I recommend watching all 3. But really, really solid performance. We had a lot of points to take away from that. And now let's just evaluate how they did just before we wrap up. So in terms of this game, I think Faker did play very well, but not quite well enough to get MVP this game. So game 4, we had GenG with Camille, Diana, Yasuo, Xayah, and Rakan. I think Yasuo played really bad. I'm going to put him orange. Diana played kind of bad as well. I'm going to put her orange too. I think she just caved, especially in comparison. Oh, wait. Camille, Diana, Yasuo, Xayah, Rakan. Enemy team. Oh, we had Kennen, Olaf, Rise, Ezreal, and Alistair. So again, MVP has to go to Ezreal here. I think even Olaf played amazing. Nobody from T1 played bad this game, I think. Diana Yasuo did kind of play bad. Camille sort of hinted. We're going to only give her orange though, just because it wasn't like a grief. Camille did okay actually. I'm gonna sorry, Xayah. Gonna give Xayah green. Rakan's engages really through this game though. I'm actually gonna give Rakan red just because that one engage in mid lane when nobody can follow up was just really painful to watch. So we're gonna copy. So I mean, overall great series. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube now. Thanks to everybody. What account? I'm gonna close the video for YouTube now. Thanks for watching.